Hello, everyone. Welcome to the BettingPros NFL Week 12 Sunday morning live stream brought to you by BetMGM, where you can get a risk-free bet of up to $1,000 when you use the highly original promo code BettingPros with your first deposit. He's Fitz. I'm Freedman, Pat Fitzmaurice, and Matthew Freedman here to highlight our favorite NFL bets for this weekend. And at the end of the show, we will take a couple of questions if there are other games you want us to touch on. So leave some comments to let us know if you have other bets, other games, anything like that you want us to get to. Fitz, Thanksgiving is in the rear view. How was it? I'm assuming it treated you well.
The holiday did, the food did, the betting did not. I really liked unders on Thanksgiving Day, and that did not work out well at all.
Yeah, well,
how about you?
The food was good. The betting was break even, which I guess is really the best that I could probably hope for at this point. All right, the end of the season in sight. It is time to pretend that we are finishing strong. So let's highlight our favorite bets for Week 12. And Fitz, the first one we're going to look at, you and I are both on the same game. We're both on the same side of this game. Titans hosting the Bengals. Right now I'm looking at the odds page that we have at BettingPros. And across the board, looking 1.5 at BetMGM. That is the best number out there. Of course, that risk-free bet with the BettingPros promo code. But there is one at a lot of other books. And I'm looking at this. This is actually flipped to Titans favored at PointsBet by 0.5. So, it looks like the market is starting to move a little bit towards Tennessee. If you like Tennessee, which is the side we're on, looks like you can get that right now. 1.5 at BetMGM, the best price out there. Fitz, what do you see when you're looking at this game?
Yeah, I saw it was still money line was minus 105 for the Titans on DraftKings as of this morning. For me, it's all about respect for Mike Vrabel and his plucky band of overachievers. The Titans just almost never play a bad game. They throw their best punch at you week after week, and if you are not on top of your game, they're going to beat you. They've won 7 of their last 8, and the one loss they've had since week 2 was a 3-point road loss to the Chiefs. So a noble defeat in their last 8 games. The only loss, 8-0 against the spread over that stretch. The only team to score more than 20 points against the Titans over that stretch, the Raiders, who scored 22 against them on September 25th. So their defense has been pretty airtight. Now, the Bengals have won 4 of their last 5, but all of those 4 wins were against losing teams. And pass protection has been an issue for the Bengals all season. Joe Burrow's gotten sacked 32 times. The Titans pass rush, pretty good, tied for 10th in sacks. They can get after it, and they just got Jeffrey Simmons, their defensive tackle, back from an ankle injury, and he is a wrecking ball. He's going to help stop that running game. The Bengals, of course, without Joe Mixon and Jamar Chase for this game, so they lose a lot of their firepower. And the Titans have had extra prep time. They played the Thursday night game in week 11, beating the Packers by 10 points on the road. So they've had 9 full days of rest and preparation. So, yeah, I like the Titans here. I just, as a home dog or near dog, I think it's hard to beat the value.
Yeah, and I'm totally with you here. I don't have a lot to add on top of what you've said, but the Titans 8-2 against the spread this season. Vrabel 22-12 against the spread as an underdog, 9-4 against the spread as a home underdog, and I think they have some peripheral edges going in their favor. As you mentioned, coming off of Thursday Night Football, 3 extra days of rest. Vrabel with 10 plus days between games in the regular season is 9-0 against the spread. That's Belichickian in terms of what he's able to do with some extra time to prep. And as you mentioned, they're getting healthier too. And that's a big thing. Thinking about that Thursday Night Football game they had 10 days ago, they were decimated on the defensive side of the ball. Getting back Jeffrey Simmons, getting back Bud Dupree, who at this point is their best edge rusher, Amani Hooker, Elijah Molden, Christian Fulton, getting all of those guys back in the secondary. At this point, they're pretty healthy. And Ben Jones also was out previously, their center, out with a concussion. He's returning. Presumably, it looks like he's returning practice fully on Friday. So, it looks like they've got pretty much as much health as they could have going in their direction at this point in the season, minus Denico Autry. But yeah, big health advantage over where they were 10 days ago. So you put all that together, and I actually have the Titans favored in this game by 0.75 points. So even at 1.5, I still think that there is value in this number. So Fitz, very much with you. I'm on the same side here. Another game here that we should talk about. Seahawks hosting the Raiders. You prefer the Seahawks in this spot, and I am right there with you. Tell me what you're seeing in this game.
Yeah, I've been confused about why this spread is as low as it is. It feels like this should be closer to a touchdown. Seattle's won 4 of their last 5, and all 4 of those wins have been by double digits. They're coming off a bye. Seattle's 8th in overall DVOA, Football Outsiders performance metric, and the Raiders are 26th. Raiders are also dead last in defensive DVOA. And 2 of the Raiders' 3 wins this season, 2 have come against the Broncos, and the other win was against the Texans. So they have not beaten a team with a functional offense this year. And we thought the wheels were coming off for the Raiders last week, Freedman, and I bet against them, and it turned out to be the wrong bet because they ran into the Broncos and that dysfunctional offense again. But after they had dropped a home game to the Colts in week 10, we heard Derek Carr and Devontae Adams talk about how not everyone in the locker room had bought in. Presumably that means bought into Josh McDaniels and his staff. So things were kind of starting to look pretty bad for the Raiders, but then they patched things up enough to beat a pretty mediocre Broncos team last week. I just think the Seahawks are the far better team. Raiders are 2-5 against the spread in their last 7 road games. Seahawks are 4-1 against the spread in their last 5 games and their last 5 home games. I just think the trends, the overall performance so far this season, everything kind of points toward a comfortable Seattle win here.
Yeah, I'm with you. I bet this at 3.5. Still like it enough at 4. And I will be talking about this game a little bit later in the total section. What a professional tease there. But I will say Geno Smith, 5-1 against the spread in Seattle, at home with the Seahawks, 5-1 against the spread. So that home field advantage is something that has seemingly transferred from Russell Wilson to Geno Smith there. I'm very much with you. A game I'm looking at. Let me make sure that I'm having the right number here when I'm talking about this game. I'm looking at the Saints on the road in San Francisco +9. And I feel a little bit dirty with this because the 49ers have looked really good recently. But they are coming off of short rest, Monday Night Football, traveling from Mexico City. And this is the spot where I just, historically want to be against Kyle Shanahan. As a favorite, he is 17-28-1 against the spread. At home, he's 16-24-1 against the spread. As a home favorite, 8-16-1 against the spread. This is the spot where Kyle Shanahan just historically tends to underperform. And the Saints defense, let's talk about it a little bit. Presumably, entering the year, it was going to be a strength, and it has not been a strength to this point, but it has also been very injured. This week, they're getting some key players back. I was hoping they would be getting Marshawn Lattimore back. It looks like that will not be the case. Even though he practiced every day this week, albeit limitedly, he's not returning this week. It seems like next week will be when he returns from the abdomen injury that's kept him out since, I believe, week 6. But Marcus Davenport, it looks like he's going to return. Cameron Jordan, who's out with an eye injury, it looks like he's returning. And so getting their 2 edge rushers back, that is a really big boost for this defense. Marcus Davenport, Cameron Jordan, they might be the most important players on that Saints defense. So having both of them back, I think is pretty significant. Most weeks I've been deducting an extra 2 to 3 points from the Saints power ratings because of short-term injuries. And this week it's maybe going to be only like a point now that Marcus Lattimore is still out. But Andrews Pete, their left guard, he's been out with a triceps injury. It looks like he has a pretty decent chance of returning after practicing this week. So all of a sudden, this team is starting to get back to where it was. And +9 is just a really high number for a Shanahan team that historically just doesn't pile it on. And if this defense is starting to round back into shape, I'm just going to take the +9, and I'm going to feel a little bit dirty about it, just like I felt a little bit dirty about backing the Lions on Thanksgiving, but that worked. I do think that this is the right spot here, but it's more of a kind of hold your nose and bet it and don't watch the game, and hopefully it works out in the end. Fitz, I don't know if you have any quick thoughts on this game, but I know you also are looking at Ravens at Jags. Any thoughts there, or want to get to Ravens Jags?
Yeah, I mean, it is kind of scary going against this 49ers offense lately. I mean, it's just looking like such a machine, but I do understand the proclivity to bet against Kyle Shanahan and that big spread. So for me, it's a stay away, but I understand why you would want to be on the Saints for that one. So turning to Ravens Jags, you talk about feeling dirty. I don't feel great about betting a road favorite. I just don't like betting road favorites unless I'm really confident in the line. I'm pretty confident in Ravens plus or -3.5 at Jacksonville. The Ravens defense has just been nasty lately. They have won 4 straight, and they've held opponents to 14.5 points a game over that stretch. In the 2 games they played since adding Roquan Smith in a trade with the Bears, the Ravens have allowed 13 points to the Saints and 3 points to the Panthers. Since week 7, the Ravens are 6th in defensive DVOA, and since adding Roquan, they are 2nd in DVOA. Jaguars really struggling. 1-6 in their last 7 games, 1-6 against the spread over that stretch. And their defense has just been playing poorly. Over their last 5 games, they've given up 25 points a game. And the run of opponents during that stretch has included the Colts, Giants, Broncos, and Raiders. So not exactly offensive powerhouses. Since week 4, the Jaguars are 31st in defensive DVOA. Yeah, as much as I don't love betting on road favorites, this is a road favorite I'm pretty happy to embrace.
All right. Yeah, I can see it. For me, this is probably a stay away, but yeah, I wouldn't be overly desirous to be betting on the Jags in this spot. The game I'm looking at here for the third spread pick, Falcons +4 at the Commanders. And I bet this at +3.5 on the look ahead. And 1 second here. Of course, when I did that, I logged it in the BettingPros app, where you can sync up with sportsbooks, get free betting advice and picks, track different experts, track line movement, and track your own bets. You can, of course, now get sports betting alerts, and we monitor all the major sports books so you can see which book is offering the best line on a bet at any given moment. Download the app today in the Apple or Google Play Store. Okay. Falcons 6-2 against the spread is Marcus Mariota as an underdog. Falcons 7-4 against the spread this season. I think these teams are basically even. If you look at different power ratings, Massey, Peabody, the rankings that they have, the Commanders and Falcons are separated by 0.2 of a point. And the NF Elo power ratings, which is done by Robbie Greer, who does some work contributing for the site. These 2 teams are separated by 1/10 of a point. If you look at ESPN's Football Power Index, these teams are separated by, I believe, 0.3 of a point. And my personal power ratings, I actually have them separated by a point. But kind of bigger picture, there's not much separating these 2 teams. I think they match up very evenly. Chase Young is not returning. And so that, is something that knocks the Commanders down a little bit. On offense, they're number 27 in DVOA. The Falcons are number 28 in defensive DVOA. You flip that around, the Commanders are number 12 in defensive DVOA. The Falcons are number 12 in offensive DVOA. Like there's really not much separating these 2 teams. Even if you break it down into like the running and passing games, offense versus defense, there aren't any real large edges that present themselves. And I don't think the Commanders have that large of a home field advantage. I don't see why this is above the key number of 3. I have the Falcons at 2.25 in terms of like what they should be getting in terms of points. So if this is above the key number of 3, I will be betting it. Okay, Fitz. Sides, we've hit that. Let's get to the totals. Bengals, Titans. We talked about this game up at the top. We're both on the Titans. Historically, if you like underdogs, that tends a little bit more towards the unders here, and you like the under here of 43.
Yeah, it's kind of an over team versus an under team, but I think the Titans, the under team, are able to, I don't know, assert their will in this game. So 7 of 10 Titans games this season have played under, and 6 of their last 7. Since week 4, the point totals in Titans games have been 41, 38, 29, 27, 37, 27, and 44 last week. So, yeah, like getting to 40 in a Titans game is a chore. The Titans 32nd in offensive pace. They like to play a leisurely style of offensive football. And the Bengals are not that much hastier than the Titans. They're 24th. This game should be played at a, snoozably slow pace. I'm going under here. Like, I think the Titans as an under bet, I mean, that's become an almost automatic weekly play for me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, speaking of automatic weekly play, I mean, the Broncos are playing this week, so I'm going under. That's historically what I'm going to do. Panthers, Broncos under 36, and looking across the market now, I believe that this is 36.5 at some books here. 36.5 now across the market. I would still, obviously if it's moving up, great. I will take even more on the under there. I talk about the Broncos almost every weekend because I see value in the Broncos under every weekend. They're 9-1 to the under, and they've done that despite going into overtime in 3 of 10 games. That is kind of amazing. They're number 2 in points allowed, number 32 in points scored. It's like you could not create a more under-focused team than what the Broncos have. The Panthers are starting Sam Darnold. Their third quarterback of the season. It's his first start of the year. Coming off of IR, he could be extremely rusty, not to mention the fact that he's bad. So, the Panthers, they also have a pretty decent defense of their own, and they're going against an offense in the Broncos that, in theory, should be decent, but definitely is not. Down multiple offensive linemen, down 2 wide receivers. The 2 guys who started at running back for them this season, those guys are both off of the team now. This is just not an offense that is anywhere close to functional. So 36.5, those are really small numbers. I think this should be 34.4. So I still think that there is value here, and I will be very gladly taking the under in Broncos and then not watching the game because it will be disgusting. All right, Fitz. Another game here that you were looking at. Buccaneers, Browns, over 42. Talk to me.
Yeah. First of all, can I just remark on the extraordinary fact that people are going to choose to attend that Panthers Broncos game of their own free will?
Maybe some
that.
people. Yeah. Fitz, what would someone have to pay you? Let's say that you lived in that area. You lived in the Charlotte area, but you weren't a fan of either team. What would someone have to pay you? Because I assume you're not going to pay to go see that game. What would someone have to pay you for you to take time out of your Sunday to go to that game?
$500. I would miss other football games. Even though I enjoy watching football in person, it's hard for me to enjoy it when there are other better games going on.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd rather watch Germany, Spain in the World Cup today than Panthers, Broncos.
Yeah.
No question about that. So, it would take at least 500, and probably they would have to buy me a few beers also.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. The 500 wouldn't be enough. Yeah.
So, yeah, Buccaneers, Browns over 42. There have not been fewer than 43 points scored in a Browns game all season. The average point total in a Browns game this year, 50.9 points. And I think the weather forecast might be dragging down the total here a little bit. It's calling for some rain in Cleveland today, a little bit of wind, but not torrential rain, supposedly, and not gale force winds. And I do think weather tends to be overplayed. If they show a couple live spots from Cleveland today and you see rain in the background, this total could drop a little more. So I would maybe wait and hit this until right before kickoff. But yeah, the Browns are 31st in defensive DVOA. They're just trash. 32nd against the run. I think this one's going over, and people are going to overdo it on the weather. Don't. Browns games play over.
Yeah. And I mean, the Browns especially vulnerable against the run, and with Rashad White as the running back here for the Buccaneers, maybe they're a little more effective running the ball too. So that's something that could play into the over here. A game I'm looking at, you covered it earlier. I teased it earlier. Seahawks, Raiders over 47 is where I'm 47 and a half is where I'm looking. And by the way, speaking of the Raiders, we're giving away a free signed Josh Jacobs Raiders jersey from our friends at Pristine Auction. If you want a chance to win it, subscribe to the Betting Pros YouTube channel right now, comment below on the video, and we will announce a winner on the channel in a future episode. So turn on those notifications. All right. I like the Seahawks at -3.5, as I mentioned. And if you like a favorite historically that, correlates with the over, the Raiders have the worst secondary in the league, at least according to my rankings. Geno Smith is a top 10, real life quarterback this year, maybe better than that, maybe like number 8, number 7. I think the Seahawks are going to be able to put up points. And then the Raiders, for all of their faults, they're still number 16 in scoring, and the Seahawks are getting better on defense, but I'd say they're still average at best. So if you combine the great matchup for the Seahawks offense with a good enough situation for the Raiders offense, I like the over here. So I will be taking over 47.5. I have this projected at 48.6. All right, Fitz, Bears, Jets. Speaking of a game that people are going to pay money to go see, it looks, pretty certain that Justin Fields will not be playing in this spot. Zach Wilson won't be playing in this spot. So you don't have the matchup of two guys taken in last year's draft class. Instead, you get the matchup of Trevor Siemian in the #revenge game against the Jets going against Mike White. This is a disgusting game. And given that you are taking the disgusting bet of under 38.5, talk to me about this game.
Yeah, this is why people need to watch the Betting Pros Look Ahead show that we record with our colleague Joe Pisapia every Monday morning, because we were talking about the under on this game back then, and I got this at 46.5. 46.5 on Monday when I bet it.
You're just counting money right now.
Which, I mean, yeah, if this somehow goes over 46.5, I'm just going to retire from betting, I think. So, yeah, we're looking at a Mike White, Trevor Siemian quarterback matchup. No Khalil Herbert for the Bears still. So, David Montgomery, a decent running back, but he's just not explosive. So you're not going to get any explosive plays in the running game, presumably from the Bears, either at quarterback or at running back. And since the beginning of October, the Jets have held opponents to 15 points a game, 14 points a game if you take away that punt return touchdown that beat them last week. So, yeah, Mike White, yeah, maybe he's an improvement over Zach Wilson, but let's face it, he's not going to be a significant leaps and bounds improvement over Zach Wilson. So, yeah, this game is going to be a rock fight.
Yeah, the one thing that would potentially drive this to the over of 38.5 is if the Bears defense, which has been really bad recently, if they allow Mike White to, look like a super version of Mike White. And I don't think that's very likely. He was a check down machine last year, targeted running backs at an unprecedented rate.
And 39% or something of his throws were to running backs. Crazy.
Yeah. And, it's fine. That's fine. If you can move the ball down the field doing that, fine. But you're not going to move the ball down the field in chunks doing that. And, I think that is what they would need in order to get this game to the over here. So I'm with you here. All right, a game I'm looking at, and this is really disgusting. Chiefs Rams over 42. Here's what I'm going to say. Wait to bet this game. I would not take it at the 42. I think there's a decent chance that as this game gets closer to kickoff, they officially announce that Bryce Perkins is the starter. They officially announced that Allen Robinson will not be playing in this game, which honestly, that I feel like might even help this go to the over more if Allen Robinson isn't out there. But, the more negative news comes out about the Rams, the lower this total could get. So it's 42 right now, but I would just wait on it. But this is disgusting. you probably don't want to watch this game. But the Chiefs offense is number one in a lot of measures: EPA, DVOA, yards per play, points per game. They are going to be able to put up points against a Rams defense that is not what it used to be, especially in pass defense, where it's no better than number 23 in dropback EPA or success rate or pass DVOA. And that's where the Chiefs are their strongest on offense. So I think the Chiefs on their own are going to be able to go a long way in getting this total over 42. And then for the Rams, it looks like Bryce Perkins is very likely to start, and at least he has some running ability. Like if this were John Wolford, I would feel pretty confident in the under here, but Perkins, like he can maybe survive behind a really beat up offensive line. He can maybe break out of the pocket and scramble to extend drives. So I think, 42, it's a low number given that the Chiefs are in this game and that they have a pretty good matchup and that Bryce Perkins has some running ability, which could help the Rams get some points. So again, I would wait to take this till closer to game time because I think it could get lower than 42. So again, I would wait. I have this projected at 44, but I mean, that projection, there's so much that it doesn't take into account about this game. So maybe just throw the projection out the window. But I still think you have the Chiefs in a game and the total is at 42. And it's not unthinkable that Mahomes on his own puts up 38. So that's where I am. Fitz, do you have any quick thoughts on this game here?
Same thing. When we were talking about this game yesterday, we both said that the Chiefs could take care of this one by themselves, potentially, or at least get really close to it where all the Rams have to do is fall into the end zone once. So I'm with you.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about the underdog money line parlay. Fitz, Homer that you are taking the Packers here plus 230. Talk to me about why the Packers are going to win this game.
Yeah, Freedman is laughing because he knows that I have been anything but a homer for the Packers this year. I do not wear my green and gold colored glasses when I talk betting and the Green Bay Packers. If anything, I am a highly cynical Green Bay Packers fan, and with good reason. But they do still have Aaron Rodgers, who's still pretty good, not having his best season this year, but still a very dangerous passer. And now he's got another legitimate weapon with Christian Watson, the rookie receiver who's broken out. So he's got three decent pass catchers, and Allen Lazard, Christian Watson, and Aaron Jones. But this is more about the Eagles, and they have not been right in their last couple of games. They were thoroughly outplayed and embarrassed on Monday night by the Washington Commanders at home, suffering their first loss of the season 2 weeks ago. And then last week, they struggled to put away the Colts 17-16. So they've got some issues, and one of them is run defense. I would not be surprised if Aaron Jones really gashed the Eagles on the ground today. And, if the Packers can generate some offense with that passing game, I like them at plus 230. To me, I mean, I'm certainly not predicting a Packers win here, but man, at plus 230, I like the pot odds here to take a shot.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to cover a game here. And while I'm doing that, if people have questions on any other games they want us to cover, drop them in the comment section here, and then we can get to them right after this. I'm looking at the Saints. I talked about it earlier. Saints on the road at 49ers, plus 350 at DraftKings, which if you combine, through the parlay, my money line underdog odds with Fitz's, you get plus 1385, a healthy 1385. And, I talked about it earlier, the Saints pretty close to healthy on defense, and getting Andrews Pete back on the offensive line. I think they have a chance to keep this competitive. And Shanahan, he has a way of losing home games that he should win. Deebo Samuel is dealing with a hamstring injury. He's likely to play, but I don't think he's going to be close to 100%. So I see a path to the upset, and at plus 350, I think seeing the path is enough to make me intrigued by it. All right. So to recap here, Fitz and I both on the Titans +1 hosting the Bengals. I like the Saints +9 on the road in San Francisco. Fitz likes the Seahawks at home -4 hosting the Raiders. I like the Falcons +4 on the road in Washington. Fitz likes the Ravens -3.5 on the road in Jacksonville. In terms of the totals, I like Broncos Panthers under 36.5. Fitz likes under 43 for Bengals Titans. Seahawks Raiders, I have the over 47.5. Buccaneers Browns, Fitz has over 42. And then Chiefs Rams, I have over 42. Bears Jets, a disgusting affair. Jets, come on, anyway, Fitz has under 38.5 there. And then the underdog money line parlay, Fitz is on the Packers plus 230. I'm on the Saints plus 350 for combined odds of 1,385. All right. It looks like those are all the games that we're going to cover. Fitz, talk to us about what you have going on for the rest of Sunday.
For the fantasy folk out there, at the top of the hour, I will be doing a Twitter takeover of the Fantasy Pros account, answering questions, start sit questions for a solid hour. And that's it. Sprucing up my rankings, getting in some last minute bets, maybe piggybacking you on a few of these that I've not bet yet, Freedman. And I'm going to have to put at least a couple bucks down on our money line parlay. I like this. Some people like these 9-leg favorites parlays. You know, you're always going to stub your toe on those. Like, I do not like the 9-8 leggers, those big ones. Like, something's going to go wrong. But with two of these, all you need are just, two moderate upsets. Two upsets here of teams, underdogs less than 10 points.
Yeah.
I like it. I think it could happen. That'd be awesome if we got that Saints leg home, and then watch on Sunday night for the Packers to pull off that miracle. That'd be nice. Buy some extra Christmas presents with those winnings.
Some extra Christmas presents going straight to the bankroll. All right. I will be updating rankings all the way to kickoff, updating betting pro spreads and totals, our projections there to take into account injuries and inactives. And this evening, I will be finalizing our first round of week 13 betting pros game projections. Can't believe it's already week 13. The end is very much in sight. I've already placed some look ahead bets in typical Freedman fashion, and you can find those in the Betting Pros app. All right, that's going to do it for the NFL Week 12 Betting Pros live stream. If you like the show, do us a solid, subscribe on the YouTube channel. We very much appreciate all of you watching the show. That's going to do it for this episode. Good luck. See you next episode. Let me see here. Here we go. I'm slow. I'm slow on the draw here. Here we go.